Hello and welcome to our next tutorial about how to create a house using Archicad and AutoCAD. Here we are in AutoCAD and we have our situation, our site plan. These are the levels of the terrain which we will build. Generally, you will have these already built when you start your project, or you will have heights of different points on the terrain. In this case, I built them just for a schematic view because I still haven't received from the geodesist the heights of the terrain. That's why I use some schematic horizontal lines. These are different height lines of the terrain, and they are 1 meter apart in terms of height of the points on them. Just I will make sure that they're relatively good looking and without sharp edges. And after we've built the lines, the merging lines, we will connect the whole line into one polyline. That we'll do for each line marking the height of the points. After that, we will load that drawing in ArchCAD. You will notice that all the blocks are imported as groups, and when scaling the project they won't be scaled evenly. That's why before scaling we will need to explode all groups, and we will do that later. Let's copy and paste to our Archicad project. As you can see, the site is too small because it's in meters in AutoCAD, and now we will need to scale it 100 times, and you see the result. Because we exploded all groups before that, it's scaled correctly. Now we will assign some symbology to all the different layers. The boundaries of the plots or the land lots will be with blue lines. The existing buildings will be with slightly bigger lines with more width, and the lines marking the heights of the points of the terrain will be with the specific colors used in AutoCAD. The main highlights are with red color, and the intermediate are with orange color. We delete any unnecessary lines and text. And now we have existing walls of a house which we started with. This won't be the house we are looking for, but we will use it as a reference and place it in the lot we are aiming for. Just hide any unnecessary layers, and I just pasted that on the floor which is for the first floor. Now I will correct the story settings. I delete one story that we don't need anymore. And I will simplify the geometry of the lot to make sure that all lines connect correctly, so that later it will be easier to make the meshes of the terrain. In this case, it's perfect if all three lines match at the same point. Now I will leave only the corresponding layers that I will need for the building of the terrain. In this case, only the boundaries of the lots and the building lines. Using the space tool, the magic wand, we will create the meshes. We separate the mesh here because we need separate meshes. The southern one will be the lot we are interested in, and the northern is the adjacent lot. As mentioned before, we will simplify the geometry here. They have another point which we will also draw. And that's the point. We fill the spaces where the buildings are, so that the terrain goes all the way. Why are we building different meshes? Because we will need the lot we are interested in to be in different color than all the other lots. We assign materials to the buildings and to the terrain. In this case, it's not possible to use the magic wand, we will use the basic tools. We assign materials, and our lot will be with different material. In this case, grass. All other lots will be with some symbolic material, in this case some white material. Now we set the contour lines for each mesh by space clicking the polylines. And now we will raise the points. Make sure that when selecting the point belonging to one contour line, to select Apply to All, to raise all points at one contour line. And the result is this. Now we will need to adjust the heights of all other points that don't belong to the contour line. In this case, the corner lines of each mesh and also the lines that describe the other geometry. Now we simplify the geometry, we delete one point so that it's easier to manage. Yes, the grass mesh is okay now, and now we will adjust all the other meshes. You can also do that in 3D, as I'm doing now. You will shift click to constrain it to go only one direction, and left click on the adjacent point to make it the same height. Or using elevation number and plus to raise it higher and minus to raise it lower by a certain amount. And now the final mesh. Now the buildings. We set them with glass material and we will set their heights. As you can see, we can see all buildings right now, and we will raise them to be above the terrain. We will set the north. Right now it's straight up because we will rotate the drawing to make sure the lot we're interested in is perpendicular to the view. Now we will rotate the bottom side, and you can see that the north are all rotated also. That we will need later when we print the drawing to show the correct north. And now we remove any unnecessary layers from our template, which we won't need right now. And we're ready to start designing the building. Thanks for watching. That was part 1 of our architectural house speedrun.